Womanjika everyone, Womanjika meaning welcome. My name is Auntie Julianne and I'm an out of the Wurundjeri Woi-wurrung people, and in recognition of doing my welcome to country, I'd like to pay my respects to my elders past, present, future and any elders that were here today, and I would also like to welcome you all here today. The Wurundjeri Woi-wurrung tribe consists of three families, the Nevins, the Terricks and the Wandins, and I'm part of the Nevin family. The three families all descend from one woman called Annie Barratt, which makes us one big family. Annie Barratt is the younger sister of William Barratt, a pioneer for Aboriginal people in the 19th century, fighting for equality and land rights. I'm here today to welcome you all to the land of my ancestors. We call the land within our tribal boundaries our country. The Kulin Nation, Kulin meaning man, is made up of 5 groups. They are the Wurundjeri Woi-wurrung, Boonwurrung, Tanarong, Wathaurong and Dja Dja Wurrung. And to give you an outline of the Wurundjeri country and the area we cover, Wurundjeri country extends from north to the Great Dividing Range, east to Mount Baw Baw, south to the Moorabbin Creek and west to the Werribee River. We cover a diverse range of land from the mountains to the beach and everything in between. Many thousands of years ago, if an Aboriginal person from another tribe wanted to cross our boundary, they would have to sit at the boundary and wait for the Narragadah, which is the headman, or an elder to come past to give permission to cross. Traditional Aboriginal culture was highly territorial, and visitors risked a violent reprisal for crossing a tribal or clan boundary without this permission, and this is how a welcome to country originated in our culture. Traditionally, being welcomed onto country meant you respected Bunjil's law. Bunjil the wedge-tailed eagle is our creator, and Wah the crow is our protector. And as long as you looked after the country, you had access to our waterways and our land resources. And when you enter our country, we ask that you respect our resources, our fauna, flora and water, as they are very special to us. And when you are ready to leave, we ask that you leave it the way you found it.
We have lots of council services that support our community. We support families with children, including health services for children and mums, vaccinations, playgroups, childcare, and kinder. We support young people in our community. Through events and activities, we have services that can support people with disability, older people, and carers and family of people with disability and older people. Our libraries support everyone in our community, help people learn new things, and are free to join. We support our community to have fun and be active through events and activities, sport, and recreation areas. We help look after our places and spaces, the environment, and local businesses. We have laws to keep people safe, to make sure buildings are safe, to make sure roads and footpaths are safe, to make sure our places and spaces are safe. We make sure everyone follows the law to keep our community safe and happy. Moonee Valley. It's a great place to live, work, and visit.
Welcome everyone to tonight's meeting to hear submissions on the Draft Capital Works Program 2026-27 to 2029-30, which I now declare open at 6:05 p.m. On behalf of Moonee Valley City Council, I respectfully acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which Moonee Valley is located, the Wurundjeri Woiwurrung people of the Kulin Nation, and we pay respects to their spirits, ancestors, community members and elders past, present and emerging. We also extend this respect to other Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. As part of our Council's commitment to reconciliation and treaty, I'll now say our acknowledgement to country in Woiwurrung language. Wangananu nagu Wurundjeri Woiwurrung, Gulen Naganan Tuan Bik Wenawap Moonee Valley Dari. Wangananu Gaguk Nangit Bambu Bayalambu. Nangit Nagu Nagayan Tabuk Gaguk Nangit Bavanagwaran Yuong Gulen Magali Yalambu. Tonight's hearing of submissions will be live streamed on our website, and I warmly welcome those in our gallery and those watching online. The purpose of tonight's hearing is for councillors to hear the community's feedback on the Draft Capital Works Program 26-27 to 29-30. It should be noted that Council is not making any decisions on the Draft Capital Works Program tonight. The Draft Capital Works Program will be endorsed as part of the budget program, the Budget 26-27, at the Council meeting on the Council meeting in June 2026. A total of 116 responses were received on the Draft Capital Works Program, consisting of 51 submissions and 65 responses that we classify as feedback. Some responses included multiple feedback and submissions. Just bear with me 1 minute. So I move to apologies on our agenda. Now, we don't have any apologies from councillors this evening, but I note that Councillor Theocharides is online and Councillor Philburn is just running slightly late for this evening's meeting, but will be here as soon as he can. So that takes us to declarations of conflict of interest. Councillors, are there any conflicts of interest to be declared this evening? No? And so that brings us to reports. Report 4.1, which is the submissions on the Draft Capital Works Program. And so we are now going to move to the part of the meeting where we hear from our submitters. So a total of 28 community members have registered to speak this evening in relation to our Draft 4-Year Capital Works Program. However, 5 have advised us that they can no longer attend. So that brings us down to 23. Now, each speaker will have 3 minutes to speak to their submission, after which councillors can seek clarification on any points. Because we have so many submissions and so many submitters tonight, we are going to limit the answers to questions to a minute to make sure that we can get through everybody fairly and within good time. So I will invite each presenter to speak in the order that you have been allocated, and our first speaker tonight is Frank de Blasi from the Avondale Heights and East Keilor Community 25-Year Residents Association. So Frank, would you like to present us with your submission? You have 3 minutes. Thank you, Frank.
Good evening. More than a submission, actually I would like to do a presentation of an association which officially was formed in the year 2000 for your benefit and for the benefit of the community. Our association was established by a true desire to lift the profile of the local area within the Moonee Valley municipality and generating a greater social conscience and cultural community awareness and understanding. In other words, to bring some timely changes and rectify some of the most evident civic, environmental, and transport problems experienced by residents in these two suburbs. Suburbs which, quite for a long time, many of residents have considered the most forgotten two areas, the Cinderella of Monivale municipality. Local residents have lived in terribly run-down local roads, which have been not been reserved in 50 years. For several years, our request for installation of traffic lights had fallen on deaf ears, and after our strong and constant representation, two were installed. Sporting ovals and open spaces in local park had been neglected for the time they were established and were poorly maintained. 25 years ago, recreational leisure outlets for local young people were non-existent to run down. The only means of public transport for local residents of these two suburbs still consists, even today, in buses to High Point Shopping Centre, Essendon Railway Station, Moonee Ponds, Footscray, and even these are considered unreliable in the evenings and on weekend. On the very first meeting of the group of concerned residents decided on the aim of the objectives of the association, which chiefly included to provide clear information, support, advocacy, and opportunities for involvement in civic affairs for residents of Avondale Heights and East Kilo. Over 25 years, all our aims, in one way or another, have been achieved through a number of ways. By responding to issues raised by local residents, by raising the awareness of residents to issues affecting Avondale Heights and East Kilo, and incorporating and liaising with other organizations with a common purpose, and by communicating with federal, state, and local governments, departments, and agencies.
Frank, you have 20 seconds remaining.
Well, if that is the case, I'll have to conclude shortly. But the most important of all, the community action made news everywhere to the point of becoming the catalyst, which started the state government to rethink the policy on gambling machine. We were able to stop gambling machine in this municipality, which eventually led to legislate in stopping altogether the issue of new license in the state of Victoria.
I need to ask you to finish now, because that's 3 minutes. But maybe if we could stop the clock, please.
Yes, I can stop now if you like.
Thank you so much, Frank.
Yes.
Councillors, are there any points of clarification needed on this submission? Councillor Sypek?
Frank, could you explain what things you would like to be seen to be put into the budget for your submission? What are the main things?
I think the most important issues would be to actually look at the situation in our two suburbs. I'm talking about Avondale Heights and East Kilo. There are so many things which need to be done urgently. First of all, was the resurfacing of Miliara Road from the, I think it was from Military Road right up to the roundabout, which has been neglected for 4 years. 4 years.
Probably explain.
I know. I can only tell you, I know that it's not part of this council to do it, but at least we might request that we can do a request to the Minister for Roads and Transport, but having a supporting letter from this council. That is clear. Another thing is to actually look into the redoing it and actually reshaping what is now the Avondale Heights dull shopping centres, which are actually, they remind many people as a third world country area. And we don't want that. We want to see that is done properly and better and like all the other words.
Thank you, Frank. We need to finish there. Thank you so much for your submission, and thank you for your question, Councillor Sypek. We need to finish there. So thank you very much for your presentation to us this evening, Frank.
Thank you so much.
Mary, can I just ask one more question?
We're going to need to limit the answers from each submitter just to 1 minute, and Frank gave us 1 minute worth of answers. It's just because we have so many submitters this evening, we just need to keep things running
We
quite
can talk to
tightly.
them later and get the list.
Absolutely,
Okay,
absolutely. And I think we've heard some ideas there that we can follow up on.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Sypek. So our next speakers tonight are Teresa Day and Dr. Corey Ferguson from Moonee Valley Sustainability. And I forgot to say earlier that I'll ring the bell with 30 seconds to go to try to help speakers to know that you have 30 seconds remaining.
Okay, thanks. So myself and Corey are here today to represent Moonee Valley Sustainability, but more specifically we are here to talk about the Rethinking Waste Collective and some of the ideas that we have. We want to propose the development of a sustainability and circular economy hub here in Moonee Valley. Waste, the material production and consumption, is one of the leading causes of global emissions, and locally is significant cost to our council when sending wasted materials and resources to landfill. A sustainability and circular economy hub can therefore reduce council costs by recirculating material goods for greater use before they become waste and create more carbon emissions when they go into landfill. We therefore would like to propose a dedicated investment in a hub that's much more about reducing just waste. It could be a community space for people to come together, an investment in community and business development, essentially, to extend the value of food, goods, materials and space being consumed and wasted in our community, and to include more sustainable social and economic outcomes that lead us to a climate safe, a more resilient community and a connected future.
In the submission we've provided, we outlined how a hub like this could host multiple sustainability initiatives that also promote the wider inclusion and resilience of our many communities, like improving social and economic access to goods and repair, or intergenerational training and learning around sustainability between younger and older populations, and even creating a space for connection to reduce feelings of isolation and mental health strains. Such a hub moves beyond just waste and would be open and attractive to a wide range of Moonee Valley residents, local makers, community groups, small businesses, and new startups to use and engage with, creating a more inclusive and collaborative, circular, and sustainable future. Other councils in Melbourne have established climate action or sustainability hubs, but Moonee Valley could be the first council to offer a dedicated space for circular economy activation. We, the MVS community, have shown that we can acquire grant funding and the people power to make such plans happen, but our biggest barrier, as well as that for successful material recirculation and wider community inclusion, is in securing space and storage in our local community to make that happen. You want to do that?
30 seconds left.
Oh,
Do it
yeah.
30 seconds, yeah.
So we now ask council to consider a sustainability and circular hub beyond the silos of waste initiative, embed it across different council departments to conduct a feasibility study for what and where our local hub could be, like the Maribyrnong Bowls Club, which currently sits empty, or another equity-driven and council-owned space. We understand and respect council's own limitations, as well as ours as volunteers, and we ask for the opportunity to work together to secure a space for our community to invest in local and long-term solutions. Thanks.
Thank you, and the 3 minutes has finished right there. Thank you very much. Councillors, does any councillor have a question or a point of clarification needed on this submission? No?
Cool.
In which case, thank you both very much for speaking to us this evening and for your submission to our draft four-year program. Now I have that our third speakers for this evening are Teresa Day and Angela Clark. So welcome you back, Teresa.
Thanks.
And with Angela from Moonee Valley Sustainability. Thank you both.
Thank you for the opportunity to come here and have a say in the Capital Works budget process. Most of you know who Moonee Valley Sustainability are, as we have submitted annual budget responses for the last 7 years. We are going to be talking about things tonight which probably are not going to be a surprise. As always, we are making this submission not only for our growing Moonee Valley Sustainability community, but for the wider community of Moonee Valley, who are all becoming increasingly concerned about climate change in our neighbourhood as the impacts of it unfold. Climate change is becoming very real, very fast for more and more people. The Capital Works budget does not clearly show how the planned investment will contribute to the progress of the Council in achieving its own sustainability goals and climate targets. Yet these outcomes need to be embedded at every stage of any capital project management process. The Council needs to make climate mitigation and adaptation a priority at every stage, from approval to planning to procurement, delivery, performance and evaluation.
So we've done our best to pull together the most significant or salient points as part of the consultation process. So we used the climate snapshot data, which I know Council itself uses. So you have the submission in front of you, and you can see there that we're way off track meeting our community carbon emissions reduction targets. So it's showing there on that map that we're down 11%. So that's good. It's going in the right direction. But what we really need is a 31. By this point in time, if we want to actually meet the targets that you've set ourselves, then it should be at 31% reduction. So as Teresa said, we are actually making this case not for us, not for us as individuals, but for us as a community. So you've been really successful in the past at reinvesting savings from the renewable energy contract back into climate action. So we're just saying, yes, go for it, do that again. And maybe if you can prioritise in this budget actions that are required to meet things like more than half trips by active or low emissions transport by 2030, climate pollution down to 67 or 70%, rooftop solar update needs to be at 40%, we need tree canopy cover, it's only 25 by 2030, and active recycling, repurposing to reduce waste. So these are the kind of topics that we feel like need to be focused on.
Why 2030? Because basically, when I was at university, this was the decade, and I was at university a very long time ago. It's recognised worldwide in business, government and research arenas that this is a window, and it's one that's closing fast, and the tipping points are going to start. We are in a climate emergency, so the budget priorities really need to reflect this.
And Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Yes, that is the 3 minutes. My bell seems to have got a bit stuck. I've been trying to ring the bell at 30 seconds, which sometimes people think is the 3 minute mark, but I've been trying to ring it at 30 seconds, but that time it got slightly stuck, so I do apologise for that. Okay. But thank you for your presentation. Councillors, are there any points of clarification that you would like to ask of Angela and Teresa? Thanks, Councillor Cosgrove.
Thank you. Just so this submission, there's no specific ask. It's kind of a
well, I guess the last sentence was our specific ask, which so now I get to read it. Maybe it's really around. The specific ask is around how we meet the targets that you've already set and getting line items in your capital works budget that specifically relate to those topics that we just mentioned. And so this is your opportunity here to name them within the capital works budget. So that's kind of the ask. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Fran.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? We still have 30 seconds of answers if anyone else had another question. Councillor Filburn.
Thanks very much, Mayor, and apologies for coming in late as well. I just had a quick question on just picking up your last comment around the ensuring that we've got the enough of the line items to meet what the targets are. Has Moonee Valley Sustainability done any work as to which ones of those would give us the most bang for buck in terms of dollars spent and emissions saved?
We've got the stats which clearly shows where the big emissions are, but what we don't have is the understanding about how much that would cost to actually turn around. So in terms of bang for buck, we probably don't have that answer, but in terms of where it needs to be focused, it's in residential spaces, the use of energy. That's where the biggest usage is,
And I guess we're a volunteer group, so we're not kind of coming at this from a professional perspective. We're just saying from a community perspective that these are the topics that we care about, and can you join the dots? with your people within council when you've got paid people to be able to make these decisions around that work.
Thank you both. Thanks so much for your presentation this evening. And just to explain to people who might have just come into the room, to keep things fair and moving along and evenly, even time for everyone, each presenter has 3 minutes, and then we're giving people a minute worth of answers to questions, just to keep things to time. I'm trying to ring my bell with 30 seconds to go if it doesn't get stuck. So when you hear the bell, that means 30 seconds to go. Thank you. So our next speaker, our fourth speaker, is Melina Bettio from Friends of Montgomery Park. Thank you.
Good evening, councillors, and thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Melina Bettio, speaking on behalf of Friends of Montgomery Park. Friends of Montgomery Park, supported by many local residents who have signed our submission. Montgomery Park is a well-used and much-loved community space, but as shown in Council's 2025 site analysis, undertaken as part of Montgomery Park Concept Design Project, it faces long-standing issues: poor connectivity, drainage problems, limited shade and ageing assets. Having reviewed the draft Capital Works program, we note that there is no direct funding allocated to implementing the Montgomery Park Concept Design within this 4-year period. In response, we are proposing a financially responsible staging model that aligns directly with the formal concept design brief. We understand the financial constraints in the draft Capital Works program. That's why our submission proposes a practical, low-cost, renewal-aligned staging model that fits within the current budget while still delivering meaningful improvements each year. Stage 1, in Year 1, focuses on essential access, a new path and a safe connection to the new kindergarten. These are small works with big benefits for all park users. Stage 2 addresses the central lawn, the most heavily used part of the park. We propose investigation in Year 1, followed by targeted improvements in Year 2 and 3. This ensures any investment is evidence-based, cost-effective and directly responds to community concerns about lawn quality and drainage. Stages 3 and 4, both in Year 2, deliver shade, planting, seating, drinking fountains and bike hoops, modest upgrades that significantly improve comfort, biodiversity and everyday use. Then in Year 4, we propose one major project, the multi-court and hit-up wall. This provides strong youth and active recreational benefits and delivers a clear, high-impact outcome within the current cycle. All other high-cost items are responsibly deferred beyond 2030. This staged process is realistic, affordable and aligned with council priorities. It avoids abortive works, maintains asset condition, ensures the Montgomery Park continues to serve the community while still working towards the long-term vision. Most importantly, it keeps momentum alive. This plan ensures that something meaningful happens every year within the council, the budget. On behalf of Friends of Montgomery Park and the residents who have signed this submission, I thank you for considering this staged, renewal-aligned approach.
Thank you, Melina. Almost bang on 3 minutes.
I've been practicing.
Well done. Thank you so much for your submission. Councillors, are there any questions that you would like to ask? Councillor Samantha Byrne.
Thank you for the presentation. I note that in year, what have you put it down as? Stage 4, Year 2, you've requested the bike hoops. Are there currently any bike hoops that are working?
No, there are no bike hoops in the park at all.
None at all at the moment.
No.
And the ones that you would want to have implemented in Year 2,
Yep.
are they, because there's on the map,
Yep.
there's some on that multi-purpose court, but there looks like there's also some near the new playground. Were there specific ones that you were referencing, or like any sounds like a good option? But
Any's good. Obviously, it depends on, you move one spot and something else happens. So we're thinking about this concept design with areas where you don't have to move it again if you are doing future works. I mean, looking at the drawings, there's a possibility of putting one near the potential basketball court, where it would be in hopefully year 4. So, or you could obviously wait until the basketball court is erected. And there's actually one that's in the concept design, which is near section A in the old play area. So that's that's definitely needed in the park, because a lot of people bring their bikes and things. So it is quite a messy area. So.
I don't want to use up all your time in case there's another question, so thank you.
I think
Thank you for asking.
I think
All
time's
done.
just about
Bike
finished.
hoops.
5 seconds left.
Thank
Did
you.
any other councillor have a 5-second answer question? No? Oh, but, okay.
Thanks, Mayor. Thanks, Melina, for your presentation and also for the engagement during the consultation process. What's your main ask? What would be your number one? I know you talked about pathways, but what specifically?
The pathway in year 1 is our main, because that's lacking at the moment, and that is the path that is planned to go through the old kindergarten site. So once that particular area is open...
We'll need to end it there.
Yeah, thank you.
But thanks for your question, Councillor Adams. Thanks everyone for your cooperation in helping us keep to time. It's just to make sure things are fair for everybody. Thanks so much. Please feel free to follow up with councillors after tonight. So our next speakers are Lynn and Norm Chapman. Lynn and Norm, are you here? Thanks, Lynn and Norm. You have 3 minutes. Thank you.
Well, thanks for the opportunity to make our presentation. Lynn and I are in a position to offer a historical perspective on the Airport West Linear Park, in that we lived in close proximity at Hillside Grove for 9 years during the 80s. At that time, the park was part of a barren gully that the kids used as a shortcut to school. We then moved away for some time, for over 20 years in fact, until we moved to Niddrie about 10 years ago and reacquainted ourselves with the park during COVID, when we were able to exercise ourselves and our dog in what is now a new park. It's a terrific park, offering rejuvenating green space in the midst of dense suburban living. Actually, in my more energetic moments, I walk from Westfield Shopping Centre to Niddrie along sections of the park where I notice a toilet block is at the Para Road entrance to the park. During our time at the dog park at O.J. Davis Reserve, we've also observed the addition of a children's play area at the reserve. Lynn will now describe the results of some informal consultations with some reserve users to support a case we have for additional toilet facilities at or near the reserve. Thank you.
Our dogs love the off-leash park, and so do we, although we haven't quite had the intrigue of the TV show just yet. The green spine runs from Roberts Road almost to Westfield, and a quick snapshot of some of the users include dog walkers, joggers, families with children using the 2 play areas, mothers and babies in strollers. I met one poor woman who just decanted her 3 children to go to play in the park, then had to leave because one needed to go to the toilet. Cyclists and school children learning to ride their bikes, older people walking, people using the exercise equipment, soccer, rugby, scouts, to name some. All of these people benefit from the green open space. Our group is an informal, multicultural, intergenerational group who meets twice daily for dog exercise, but also enjoying company and conversation. Our ages range from 0 to 78. All these people would benefit from a safe, accessible toilet which is open during daylight hours. We are aware of the long-term plan for a public toilet to be incorporated in the planned redevelopment of the soccer, rugby and scout clubhouse, but we are unaware of the time frame for this, as this obviously requires multiple groups and infrastructure entities to facilitate this project.
Thank you. We need to end the presentation there, but thank you very much.
Thank you.
Would any councillors like to ask any questions of Lynn and Norm? Councillor Cosgrove?
Was there any last comment you were going to add that you would like to?
Last comment?
Don't have to. No, I just thought we'd cut you off and I'd offer you an extra minute.
The other option was, alternatively, could there be access to the toilet in the soccer pavilion?
Yes. Thank you.
Cricket, soccer.
The one on the reserve side of the hill, there.
Yeah.
Behind the Nidri High School.
Yeah, great. Thank you both.
Thank you.
Sorry, I've just got a question from a councillor that I didn't quite hear.
Sorry, Mayor, just for all the submitters, will the officers be giving responses back for the questions that come up within the presentation?
To councillors?
To the submitters. For instance, with our response in regards to opening up the AJ Davis.
I understand what you're saying. All submitters will receive a response from officers, is normal practice, to the submission. But if there are specific questions that arise tonight, they may need to be clarified specifically through some other processes. Might be safer. I'm getting the thumbs up to that response, so I think that's the right answer there. Thank you. And yes, it is harsh to call time on people who I know have obviously all got so much to share with us this evening, and we're very grateful. Just need to make sure that the time is evenly spread, and I really appreciate your cooperation. So our next speaker is Kylie Barker. Thank you, Kylie.
That's okay. Hi, councillors. We welcome the redevelopment of Miliara Gardens Kindergarten. However, we have concerns around the lack of planning for predictable parking impacts. The new kindergarten is a major expansion and not a minor upgrade. The kindergarten has 2 maternal health suites, and according to the Victorian Schools Building Authority, will be expanding from 30 places up to 99 children at a time, which is going from one room to 3 rooms. We have asked to be provided with a traffic impact assessment, which residents were told does not impact on any site parking, does not support any on-site parking or residential parking notifications. The suggestion that on-street parking, which is already used by residents, can accommodate this level of expansion is unrealistic. That is difficult to reconcile with both logic and planning policy. Under clause 52.06 of the Victorian planning provisions, council must ensure parking demands are met and impacts are not transferred to surrounding residential streets. But the proposal to make no extra provisions for parking does neither. There are 2 unavoidable demands: staff parking all day which is currently not provided, and parent parking for short-term but is highly concentrated is also not provided. If either is unprovided, the outcome is inevitable: queuing, circulating traffic, blocked access, and increased safety risks. Council has already recognised the issue locally regarding the problematic dangers of traffic congestions in the streets around St Peter's Primary School, which provides a clear precedent for our submission. The upgrade of Overland Reserve is nearly completed. St Peter's staff can now use the shared car parking facilities at the reserve car park, but providing staff car park alone did not address the traffic congestion in the streets around the pick-up and drop-off times. At a minimum, we'd expect the same mitigation strategies given to the obvious similarities. Importantly, The kindergarten sits within J.H. Allen Reserve and is edged by parkland. This presents a clear and logical opportunity to accommodate parking within the road reserve through the indented parking bays on the parkland sides of both north and south without impacting the residential frontage. Currently, the new kindergarten plans show two access points, north and south. We therefore recommend on-site parking for staff and indented parking along the north and south side of the reserve of the road to approximately accommodate the times of the congestion demand throughout the day. Residents should not be expected to absorb the consequences of the inadequate planning. We are not asking for over-provision, we are asking for appropriate provision. Approving this without parking does not eliminate the demand, it simply turns the park drive into the car park that affects our rights and residential amenity.
Thank you, Kylie, very much for your presentation. Councillors, are there any points of clarification or questions? Thanks, Councillor Sypek.
Thank you, Kylie. Just in regards to the J.H. Allen area where you are, I'm a local resident as well, and I know there's only one way in and one way out unless you go through the back streets and Crossway was locked
Yes.
many years ago. So is that going to cause a lot more congestion, you think?
It will cause a lot more congestion because the park street is actually split. So if you're having two entrances to the kinder, we were told that only one entrance could possibly be used as the main entrance, and that could be on the south side of the kinder, which would really impact that side of the street. By using both of them, it will then impact on both sides of the street. Traffic goes through from St Peter's Primary School as well through that area at the exact time that the kinder's also dropping off and picking up.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kylie. Yep. Are there any other final questions? No? Okay, we'll finish that there. Thank you so much, Kylie, for your submission and presentation. Our next presenter is Ante Stipik from the Strathmore Split Soccer Club. Is Ante here? Okay, which means we move on to Jake Fisher. Jake, are you here? No. Which means we move on to Luke McKinnon from Strathmore Heights Netball Club. Thank you, Luke.
Good evening, councillors. My name is Luke McKinnon, President of Strathmore Heights Netball Club. I represent a growing 250 member club and the many local families.
Sorry, Luke, I will just ask if we could stop there for a moment and just ask if the gallery might be able to give Luke their attention.
All
or
good.
If there's a problem, just ask an officer for some assistance.
Yeah.
We might restart Luke's.
Oh, that's okay.
We might restart Luke's presentation.
I won't introduce myself again. I represent a growing 250 member club and the many local families who rely on accessible community sport. This is our fourth time advocating for multi-purpose courts down at Boeing Reserve. While community demand has continued to grow, the past 12 months have delivered meaningful progress through council-led consultation and stakeholder engagement. We are hopeful this is the moment to move from discussion to delivery. Now, the proposal is for public multi-purpose courts supporting netball, basketball, tennis and pickleball, or potentially pickleball, reflecting evolving community needs and maximising public use. Strong community support already exists. So the Boeing Reserve skate and play space consultation was completed in September last year. It identified multi-purpose courts as the number one infrastructure priority for the reserve. This was a council-run process. It clearly demonstrated local demand for courts that support multiple sports. This proposal directly responds to that feedback and reflects a clear community mandate. We've strengthened advocacy and partnerships, including engagement with Netball Victoria and representatives across all levels of government, including Danny Pearson, Ros Spence, Joe Brisky, Evan Mulholland, and of course, Councillor Hamish Jones. Boeing Reserve is a valuable community asset, but the existing courts are in poor condition, underutilised and no longer fit for purpose, as identified through council consultation. We understand there may be partial funding in the 26-27 budget for resurfacing. We would welcome that as a first step, of course. However, resurfacing alone would not solve the problem. Without lighting and a multi-purpose design, utilisation will remain limited. Netball Victoria has estimated the project cost at approximately $700,000, and Strathmore Heights Netball Club is willing to make a financial contribution, of course, with skin in the game. We are seeking Council's guidance on whether resurfacing funds could be used to leverage state or federal grants, the status of the skate and play space grant application, and if the application is successful, whether any council funds no longer required for the play space could be reallocated to the multi-purpose courts, and delivery of both products could be aligned to achieve efficiencies. Multi-purpose courts at Boeing will address a shortage of female and community sporting infrastructure, reduce travel barriers, upgrade deteriorating assets, deliver the top priority identified by residents, and we respectfully ask Council to confirm any resurfacing funding, support the balance required to deliver fully functional multi-purpose courts with lighting, and partner with us to pursue co-funding opportunities. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you, Luke, for your very nicely timed presentation. I didn't even have to ring my bell because you turned and looked at the clock at 30 seconds. So thank you. Thank you for your presentation. And councillors, are there any questions of clarification for Luke? Councillor Samantha Byrne.
Hi, thank you for the presentation. The figure that you mentioned, was that for the court resurfacing or for the court resurfacing and the lights?
And the lights, yeah, correct.
Both, right, okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yes, a 1 second answer fits our time frame very well. Any other questions of Luke? There's still 59 seconds of answers. Councillor Jones?
Where is everyone training currently?
We were training at Bowes Avenue, but they're obviously being redone and moving from 3 courts to 2. And we're now training at Silver Reserve in Glenroy under Marybeck Council. They've got 4 courts available there. That's where we're currently training.
Thank you, Luke,
Cool,
for your
thank you.
presentation this evening. Greatly appreciated. Our next speaker is, we might just wait a moment while a number of people depart. Just give you a moment. Thank you, everyone, for attending this evening. So our next speaker is Michael Maloney from Buckley Park Cricket Club. Thanks, Michael.
Good evening, everyone, and it's a hard act to follow, to be honest. Good evening, councillors, and thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Michael Maloney, and I'm the president of the Buckley Park Cricket Club. As part of the requested feedback on the 4-year plan, we put forward a submission requesting an upgrade to the existing cricket training nets at Buckley Park Cricket Oval. And tonight I want to focus on the 3 points outlined in our written submission, with the condition of our existing training nets being the most important. Our training nets are around 30 years old, and their condition has deteriorated significantly. As detailed in our submission, these issues now impact player safety, usability and overall capacity. The key concerns we've got are worn, uneven surfaces, creating a genuine risk of tripping and lower limb injuries. Debris build up from surrounding trees, leaves, seed pods and other material, which creates slipping hazards. Ageing and life expired fencing and enclosure structures that no longer meet modern community cricket standards. Insufficient separation between the 2 existing lanes, meaning balls and players can cross paths during busy sessions. Our written submission includes photos clearly showing the vegetation encroachment, the infrastructure sagging, uneven surfaces and debris accumulation. And they're not cosmetic issues, they just compromise the safety of the use of the nets. On top of these safety concerns, the Buckley Park Cricket Club is experiencing exceptional junior growth. This year we've had 65 registered juniors, which is a 54% growth on the last 2 years and 38% growth on the previous year. Our junior girls program is also expanding rapidly, now making up 20% of our junior cohort, with 62% growth over the last 2 years. We've added new age groups year after year, under 10s, under 12s, under 14s, and plan to have a standalone girls team in 2026 and 2027. This growth is something that we're proud of, but it comes with significant pressure on our already limited and outdated training lanes. And whilst the main drivers of this request are safety and participation growth, it's worth briefly acknowledging the broader strategic context. So the Buckley Park Cricket Club is the closest cricket facility to the Keilor Road Activity Centre, which is forecast for significant long-term residential density increases over the next 10, 20 and 30 years. Ensuring adequate cricket training capacity now will help the precinct meet future demand, avoid costly retrofits down the track and support community sporting pathways. So to close in summary, our cricket nets are unsafe, deteriorated and no longer fit for purpose. Our junior program is growing rapidly and there is a clear long-term planning benefit by upgrading this facility. Thank you very much for your time and your ongoing support of community sport in Moonee Valley.
Thank you very much, Michael. Councillors, are there any questions or points of clarification? We've got two. Councillor Sypek.
Just for clarification, we're talking about the nets on the main oval, the lower oval. Is that correct?
Top oval. Top oval.
Top oval one.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. No, that's all I need to know. Thank you.
And Councillor Hamish Jones.
Thank you for the presentation. I just wanted to clarify, are you wanting the nets rebuilt in the same spot, or is there no particular preference for where they're built as long as they're fixed?
We have no preference at all on the location. It's the main thing for us is just a new facility.
Councillor John Barnes.
Thanks, Mayor. Michael, it sounds like you've got a lot of issues with safety, mate. Could you just talk a little bit about the safety bit in the nets?
Yeah, so the photos in the presentation which you've all got clearly show just unevenness. There's been spot fixes of improving the condition over a long period of time, and it's just dilapidated. The trees overhang the nets. You have to wipe down the nets before we train every day. It's just significant, to be honest. It's just all life expired.
So out of 10, you'd class it a 1, 2, 3, 10 being top, 0 being putrid?
3.
3.
And I'm a pretty positive guy.
Wow. Thanks, Mike.
Thank you very much, Michael. If there are no more questions, we might leave it there. Thank you so much for your presentation this evening. To those presenters who've just entered recently, just to go over a couple of things, each presenter has 3 minutes. I'm ringing the bell with 30 seconds remaining to give you an indication that you've got 30 seconds remaining. And we're also limiting answers to questions to a minute in total, just to make sure that we can get through all presenters fairly. So thanks very much for your cooperation around those issues of timing. So our next speaker this evening is Michael Morkos from Moonee Valley Knights. Thanks, Michael.
Good evening, Mayor and Councillors. My name is Michael Morkos. I'm here representing Moonee Valley Knights Soccer Club, a club that's proudly served the community for 40 years. Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. I want to talk about something that goes beyond football. It's about community standards, inclusion and the future of grassroots sport in Moonee Valley. Over the past year, we've had multiple meetings with council representatives, including positive and constructive discussions around the upgrade and change of the change room facilities at Doyle Street. In those meetings, there was a genuine sense of alignment. We walked away feeling heard. We walked away believing that there was something that this was going to be supported and ultimately reflected to the future planning. So you can understand our disappointment when the recent budget was released. And this project wasn't just missing from the 4-year plan, it wasn't even included in the 10-year outlook. That hurt, because as a club, we've made decisions in good faith. We've made the move from Fairbairn Park, our home of over 30 years, to Doyle Street, understanding the broader vision for sports across the area. We accepted the transition, knowing other clubs needed space, knowing the game is growing and believing that Doyle Street would become a facility where we could be proud of. We didn't resist change, we embraced it. And we're not standing here tonight asking for everything tomorrow. We understand how councils operate, we understand the planning, staging and budgeting takes time. But what we're asking for is commitment, because right now our facilities are not keeping up with the growth of the club and expectation of modern, inclusive sporting environment. We have juniors, seniors, families and an increasing number of female participants coming through our doors every single week, and the current change rooms simply do not reflect the standards they deserve. Right now, the reality is our shower facilities are outdated, exposed, and lack basic privacy. They're kind of open, communal setups, and frankly, belong in another era. As a future father, an uncle, and a community leader, I can honestly say no parent will feel comfortable having their child walk through those spaces, especially when we talk about the growth of female participation in our game. This is 2026, these facilities do not reflect the standards of the community we represent, or the expectation we should be striving to meet. We're doing everything we can as a club, investing time, energy and resources to grow something special. All we're asking for is the council meets us halfway. Put it in the plan, put it in the pipeline, show us and our community that this matters. Because at the moment it feels we're upheld at our end of the deal and we're still waiting to see the same commitment returned. We want to walk into Dawes Street, feel proud to represent this area, proud to show our members what we've built together, not just as a football club, but as a community. And most importantly, we want every child, every player, every family to walk into the space and feel safe, respected, and like they belong. Because the facilities don't just support sport, they send a message. And right now, that message isn't strong enough. Tonight, we're asking to change that. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Michael. Councillors, are there any points of clarification or questions for Michael? Councillor John Sypek?
Yeah, thank you, Michael.
Is the microphone on, John?
Yes. Michael, just in regard, I remember going there about 2 years ago. You had a problem with public toilets for females. Is that still an issue down there?
Just recently, we've had 3 portables put in, but the portables are continuously being broken into, damaged, and it's just another issue. And it's 3 toilets that kind of are used by everyone when you're in the area. So for them to use the actual change rooms inside of Dawes Street, I don't think any, female or any child would want to walk through and see that.
So it's just portables?
It's just the 3 portables right now.
Okay, and just one more question, Mayor, if I may. Just regards to the change rooms, I know you've only got 2 change rooms there.
Yep.
So what do you do when you have males playing, then you've got females? Do you have to wait for the males to exit before the...
Go to Officeworks, print off a sign that says females only, stick it on the front and continuously take it on and off to make sure that no one walks through. But if there's an accident or someone doesn't read the sign, then they're walking into, I guess we can call it collateral damage.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you very much.
Still 11 seconds if anyone has an 11-second question. Thank you very much for your time tonight, Michael. Appreciate it. Our next speaker, speaker 12, is Wayne Attard from the Avondale Heights Tennis Club. Thank you, Wayne.
Yeah, good evening, councillors, and thanks for your time. I'm not going to go on too long because I know that you guys have all got my submission for our courts at Avondale Heights Tennis Club, being courts 5 and 6. So, I'm here to talk about courts 5 and 6 because courts 5 and 6 have been on and off the Capital Works program for over 10 years at Avondale Heights. It was first put on, to my knowledge, at 2016, 2019, 2023, and there was a rumour going around that something may have been on for 26, 27, but never saw anything formal. I now see that it's down for redesign 29-30. Given the growth in tennis, it's not really good enough in our community, particularly when I think a lot of you have seen courts 5 and 6. It's quite dangerous. And the growth in tennis stats, not just in Avondale Heights, in our community, are going through the roof. At our club, we've actually had a growth of just on 50% over the last year and a half. And that's just our club, and I know that other clubs are going the same sort of way. We're currently at capacity with all our comps, so that's, ladies play on a Tuesday night, mixed play on a Wednesday night, men's play on a Thursday night, juniors play on a Friday. You've got junior pennant on a Saturday and junior pennant on Saturday afternoon, more juniors Saturday morning, senior pennant on a Sunday, and we run a social program open to the whole community on a Monday evening. Now, tennis is not just one of these things where you run for 4 months of the year or 6 months of the year, like whether it be soccer or football or cricket or whatever. It's 12 months of the year. So it's not, a seasonal sport. It's a yearly sport. So it really leaves, with all of those comps and those nights taken up, it really doesn't leave much space, A, for any growth at all, and for the community to come down and book a court and have a hit with their family or friends or whatever when the prime times are taken. So because courts 5 and 6 as they are not usable, they're dangerous. I'd like the council to take advantage of some of the state and federal grants which are available and bring this submission for the redesign forward, forward from it's 29:30. I'd like to see it come forward as much as it can. I'd like it to be forward tomorrow, but I know that's not going to happen. But if we could all, take this into consideration of the growth, it would be great. I can go on about tennis, and I think everyone here is passionate about what they're vouching for, but tennis is one of those sports that I don't think a lot of people realise that kids play it from...
We have to finish it there.
From as young as 4 years old to 80-plus-year-old.
Thank you, Wayne, very much for your presentation.
Thank you.
I will ask councillors if anyone has any questions or points of clarification. Councillor John Sypek.
Thank you, Wayne. Just with the surface of 5 and 6, what have you currently got there right now?
The surface is completely cracked.
Yeah, no, but is it bitumen? Is it?
It's concrete.
It's concrete.
Hard court.
Okay, and what would you like to see there, like rebound or?
If I had it my way, we'd probably go back and put what we've got on the other 4 courts, which is that synthetic clay.
Okay.
Yep, but we'd be open to options.
Make it uniform, basically.
Yeah, to make it uniform, easy to maintain a couple more.
All right. Would we be able to get the officers to give some feedback to these questions?
Yes, we can take any questions on board and ask officers for some feedback on those, and
That'd be great.
And make sure that answers are provided to submitters. That's right.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Wayne.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Does anyone yes, Councillor Fran Cosgriff.
Thank you. Are courts 5 and 6 used at all at the moment? Are that courts 5 and 6 used at all?
Yes, they are. The community go in there and sort of have a hit. We can't use it for any comp or anything like that because it's just not good enough. The community do go in there. We leave it open for the community to use, but we don't. It's sort of an accident waiting to happen, to be honest.
Sure.
Hope it never happens, but...
Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Cosgriff. Thank you. Councillor Theocharides has a question. Councillor Theocharides, would you like to ask your question?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Just wanted to ask a follow-up question just on the comment that you just made, Wayne, when you said it's an accident waiting to happen. Because I know in the submissions you put some photos of the courts 5 and 6. Just to speak a little bit about the photos that you included, what makes you say that it's an accident waiting to happen, and what are your concerns with regards to that?
Yeah, with those photos, the cracks that are appearing in the surface are a trip hazard, like particularly playing tennis, running backwards, running sideways, not always, looking at the surface. If your foot was to fall in one of those cracks, it might not be so good.
Thanks very much, Wayne, and thank you, Councillor Theocharides. Apologies that I can't see you when your hand is up, so appreciate officers alerting me to that. Thank you very much, Wayne. We've finished the time available for your presentation this evening. Thanks very much for doing this and sharing those details with us. And just to clarify for councillors, if there are particular issues that arise, if councillors might like to make note of those, to specifically ask those questions of officers so that we can be sure that answers are provided. I think officers would probably appreciate that. Our next submitter is submitter 13, or number 13 for this evening. We have Stuart Fergie from Boeing Reserve Sporting Clubs. Thanks, Stuart.
Good evening, Mayor and councillors. Firstly, thank you very much for the opportunity to speak tonight. I'm here representing the primary sporting club tenants at Boeing Reserve, namely Strathmore Football Club, Strathmore Heights Cricket Club and Strathmore Netball Club. Together, our clubs have made a joint submission towards the 26-30 draft Capital Works budget regarding the Boeing Reserve Community Hub. Firstly, we recognise as joint clubs the financial pressures facing local government, appreciate the complexity of balancing priorities, especially of projects of size like pavilions and so forth, but we are really concerned that the critical infrastructure upgrades at Boeing Reserve continue to sit as projects for future consideration. I think to start, Boeing Reserve is not an emerging facility. It's obviously already one of the most actively used sporting precincts in the municipality. Just to call out some numbers across our clubs today, we've got over 1,300 registered members, 690 odd junior participants, of which 52% female participation, over 50,000 annual attendances, and about 56 hours of weekly in-season use at Boeing Reserve. Participation is continuing to grow, which is great, particularly among females. However, the infrastructure, as a lot of you already know, has not kept pace with the demand from the growth, specifically in areas such as gender equitable change rooms, storage, and safe spectator amenities. Without investment, we believe participation growth will inevitably be capped. To add to that, we really believe that this issue is not raised just by the clubs that are based at Boeing Reserve. We've recently launched a community petition which has been launched, and that has received a number of supporting local residents, families, volunteers that really believe that the precinct at Boeing Reserve is a huge asset to the community, and with the investment in the community hub, we really feel that that this will really serve the community for a long time to come. I think alignment with council priorities is important. I think Boeing Reserve directly aligns with your own strategic priorities, notably community wellbeing and preventative health, gender equity, youth engagement, and safe, inclusive public spaces. Just in closing, on behalf of our clubs, the broader community expressing support, we respectfully ask, if possible, allocating defined capital funding within the 26-30 period, providing a transparent staging timeline for the project, engaging directly with our clubs on project scope, and prioritising infrastructure that supports growth in female participation. Boeing Reserve.
Thanks, Stuart. We'll need
Thank
to
you very
finish
much. No
there.
problems.
Thank you so much for your presentation. I'll ask if councillors have any questions. Councillor Jones.
Thank you for the presentation, Stuart.
No problems.
I know you're here representing a number of clubs, but you've got you're from the Strathmore Heights Cricket Club.
Yeah.
How long have you been involved with the club, and how long has this been a project that has been in engagement and discussion with the club?
20 years I've been involved myself, and this project was in discussion when I joined the club. So it's a 20-year, I suppose, scope of looking at this community area. Obviously, it's not just a sporting pavilion, it's a community hub as well. So lots of community groups, do use the Boeing Reserve Pavilion. It's obviously been pushed back. It was very close at one period of time, around 10 years ago. But the facilities, just in terms of, lack of 0 changing rooms, it just makes it very, very difficult to run clubs within that type of scope, really. So, you know, I know we've been here a number of times speaking up about Bowen Reserve. We really believe that it's an asset in terms of what that precinct can do for the community across a number of different sports. And, you know, Luke obviously spoke around the courts earlier on, but that hub is significant, and we feel investment is really going to, you know, be able to deliver something that, you know, the community need and the community want.
Thank you very much, Stuart, for your presentation this
Thank you.
evening. We'll need
Thanks
to
for the
leave it
opportunity.
there and move on to the next
Thanks.
one, but thank you
Bye-bye.
very much. Appreciate it. So our next speaker this evening is Robert McDonald from the Airport West Tennis Club, and I believe there's a PowerPoint presentation to accompany this one, so you might just
Hopefully.
make sure that that's all in order. Officers,
I'm not
is that?
sure how I would operate it, yes.
Thanks very much, officers.
Beautiful.
Thanks very much, Robert. Go ahead.
Hello. Thank you, and thank you for having us to come along to talk about our project for our new clubhouse, which has been in progress for many years now. That's just a photo of our existing clubhouse. I suppose the challenge that we're facing is the clubhouse is over 50 years old, and particularly it's around there's no disability access, the facilities are not compliant, and particularly in terms of trying to make any changes to the existing building due to the presence of asbestos and hazardous materials. That's just not possible. We cannot play with the walls or do anything like that. And we currently have no storage or anything like that within the clubhouse. So it needs replacement. And that's just some photos kind of showing the toilets where tiles are falling off the walls. We can't get them back on. The actual, to get into the toilets, there's a dog leg. The actual toilets are too small. So there's no way of making them disability compliant with the way they currently are, despite the fact we have disability accessible tennis courts. So we've been working through a process now with council officers and council appointed architects where we're at the point where our detailed design is now complete and the project is shovel ready if we get a commitment for funding. We are aware of the cost pressures on council, and so we went through the process where there was a concept design. When that was changed to a detailed design, we've really focused with the architects on reducing the cost as much as possible to make it as affordable as possible. What we're really just looking for is a modern purpose-built facility that we can use as our clubhouse that is particularly disability and wheelchair tennis friendly. We did secure funding from the state government in 2022 of $650,000, which we thought would get us a long way towards the project. Obviously, with costs that have increased over time, that's still a challenge, but we are now at the point where the state government is saying to us, that pledge was made 4 years ago. If that money's not used, they're now looking at using it for other projects, and so we will lose that money and be back at square one. So we're keen to ensure that there is a commitment. The state government's looking for a commitment from council. Otherwise, I suppose if it's not going to happen in the next 4 years, then they'll reallocate the money to something else, and then ultimately when the clubhouse does need to be replaced, which it will, the funding source will need to be worked out then. In terms of the actual what we're looking for, we've tried to keep it a very simple design. We're really only looking for 4 things. There's a main social area, there's a kitchen, there's some toilets for disabled access, and some storage. And they're kind of the 4 requirements that we need. It's a very simple floor plan. They've kept the toilets separate from the main body of the building to reduce costs in terms of air conditioning and other facilities. The kitchen's very simple. Obviously, the other requirements are based on what the council appointed architects have said that they need to do to meet other compliance requirements. But we've tried to keep it as cheap and as simple as possible, and we're hoping we can get some funding to make it happen.
Thank you very much, Robert. Councillors, are there any questions or points of clarification? Councillor Samantha Byrne.
Thank you. Thanks for the presentation. I know the Mayor and I headed out to your open day a few weeks ago and we had a great time. when we were there, you had signs up on the posts saying,
Yes.
please don't lean against the posts. Could you please provide some information on the posts?
Yeah, so that's the other problem that we're having is the veranda is supported by some posts. The posts have actually rotted, and so they are loose. And so if somebody thinks that they're stable and they lean against them, they'll actually potentially fall. So we've actually tried to secure them, not been too successful. So we now have a sign that says "Do not lean," so that people don't have that. That's kind of our solution at the moment.
Thanks, Robert. Are there any other questions from councillors? Councillor Cosgrove.
I don't know if you could answer, but the state government funding, what's required? Is it a timeline from council, or is it that council proposes to build it within a certain time? Like, what does that require?
I don't exactly know, and possibly the council officers know more than me, but what we're told through the local state member who's kind of helped us secure the funding is it needs a commitment, because obviously he's been approached by the Minister for Sport saying if this isn't going to be taken up, there are other priorities, lots of other priorities, and they can use the money elsewhere.
Thanks, Robert. Any other questions? In which case, thank you very much for your presentation, Robert. Thank you, officers. And that brings us to our 15th speaker this evening, Willem Span from the Avondale Heights Sporting Club. And just a reminder that I'm ringing the bell with 30 seconds to go, and then there's an extra minute for answers to questions.
I'm not going to take that long, Rose.
Just that people come in at different times, might not have heard the earlier instructions. Wasn't directed at you specifically, Willem.
No, that's all right. Which one am I doing first? What's it got on there?
You are speaking, yes, it says 2 separate submissions.
Just one? Pick one?
Why don't you start talking and we'll see where we
All
get
right.
to.
Okay.
Thanks, Willem.
First up, the sports field upgrade. It's been put in for 29.30 for new ground or ground resurface, and the lighting is for 28.29. So what I'd like to do is just do everything all at once if we can. Like just put do the resurfacing of the ground, the lights, and what I'd really like to do is a new fence, because the fence is falling down. People run into it with their car. I've had council out there on many, many occasions fixing the fence. So, yeah, if we could get something happening around that, that would be fantastic. Like just, I don't want kids running into fences, hurting themselves on old screws. Yeah, the ground is just, it's waterlogged and wet. It's got wet patches because the current sprinkler system is all broken, cracked. It's, yeah. The goalposts are visibly slanted. The perimeter fencing's terrible. The lighting, yeah, look, and I know it's on the list, so I'm not that forceful about it, but yeah, we'd really like to bring that time frame just forward a year so that council stops wasting money fixing things, stop wasting money digging up the ground, and then like the other day we had a leak, had to dig up the ground. It's football season, now we've got a hole in the ground. Yeah, it's just basically if we can just push that forward a year, that'd be fan. I know Hanson's getting redone, so if we could get, just move straight from Hanson to Canning Reserve, that would be optimal, if it's possible. I think that's it for me for about that.
So is that the first submission?
Yeah, that's my first submission.
Okay. So we might pause things there and ask for any questions on the first submission. Thanks, Willem. Thanks.
I've got 2 questions.
Thanks, Councillor Sypek.
Firstly, the lights that you've got there, are they halogen or LED?
They're the old ones, the old halogen.
The old halogen ones,
Yep.
they're the ones that...
And they do fail.
Okay. Do you have solar panels or batteries?
Solar panels, yes.
But no batteries?
No batteries.
Okay. All right. And the fence, are you talking about the post, the
tubing,
fence,
the tubing fencing,
around?
yeah.
So that's all breaking down?
It's breaking, yeah. People often just hang on it, and
just bad drivers?
Bad drivers will drive through it, but even if you hang off it, sometimes it will fail. And you've got a piece of tubing just sticking out.
Would you like it all replaced, or would you like something maybe sort of more aesthetically pleasing?
I don't think being replaced would be, like as is, would be optimal. We had a moped, thought they might get onto the ground and do some skids, so that was nice, straight through the middle of Dean's cricket pitch, which he wasn't very happy about.
Yeah, 'cause they can lean underneath the fence.
Yeah, they just go underneath the fence. So even if you just narrowed the spacing of the gates and had a picket fence, that'd be ideal, just like Clifton Park. Yeah, that'd be fantastic.
Thanks, Willem. Thanks, Mayor.
Okay.
Thank you, Willem. So that, I think, brings us then to your second presentation.
Yep, okay.
If I'm understanding correctly.
Yep. So
Thank you.
the Canning Reserve Pavilion. This is a bit more important in my opinion. We'd really like council to work with state and federal governments to secure some funding. What we'd really like, you've got it in front of you. So what we'd really like is maybe even a dedicated team or task force, workforce, whatever you want to call it, to work with state, access some grants, start to get some money together for a new pavilion. I've spoken to Ben Carroll about it. He has committed to doing a master plan for the area. Petition the state to try and get the master plan done. The current pavilion is just starting to fall apart. We've had consistent termite remediation works, which has cost $100,000 at least by council. The sewage smell in the place is horrific. The toilets in the homeroom run. Urinals need total replacement. They're awful. We do a lot of the maintenance ourselves. I personally put in money just to get plumbers down, to fix urinals, to fix toilets, you know. Again, the sewage smell it's next level. What we propose is a community business hub or a community hub itself so that everyone can use it. We want to have a gym in there, we want to have a cafe underneath of it so that that could serve Fishy Park, what we call Fishy Park. We need plus football, cricket, netball, all the sporting clubs in the area. Basketball will use it. The Scouts could use it. It's right on the river. We could use it during the day for meeting rooms or offices for stay-at-home people or working from home people who don't want to stay at home because their homes are small or they don't have the facilities or whatever. We want to have a bistro upstairs that would service the community. You know, there's no pub in Avondale Heights. There's nowhere for anyone to go to have a good meal and a drink. I mean, obviously you can get a good meal, but, you know, just that pub sort of feel, that'd be fantastic. I know it's a dry area, but as a sporting club. So what we'd actually, as I said, what we'd actually like is just if council can start to work with state and federal governments to access some of these grants, I think we'd be really heading in the right direction. I think that's about it.
Thanks, Willem. Sorry, I'm just taking some notes. Thanks very much, Willem. Councillors, are there any questions of councillors?
Thank you.
Councillor Savick, let's just keep it to a question rather than a conversation.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, you said that Ben Carroll was committed to the master plan. Now, has he committed financial backing to that, or is it just writing a letter to Moonee Valley?
No, he'll commit. He's going to petition the state government to get the funding to do the master plan.
Okay, so that right now there's no monetary.
Right now there's nothing.
Okay.
But that has been committed.
Talked about. Okay.
Verbally, yep.
Thank you.
Thanks, Willem. Any other questions of councillors? Thanks, Councillor Savick. Any other questions? Councillor Samantha Byrne?
Thanks for the presentation. Is that a master plan for the Canning precinct or is that a plan for the pavilion?
That would be a master plan for the Canning precinct.
The
for
whole
the Canning Reserve precinct.
Area?
Yep.
Okay.
So where things go, essentially.
Thank you. And can I ask a follow-up?
Sorry, no, we've got a question online. Sorry, I didn't mean to say
sorry,
no so abruptly. It's just that governance was pointing at me at the same time. Sorry. There's a question online, I think, from Councillor Theocarides, and I'm really sorry, Councillor Theocharides. I have no visibility of when you're asking questions, so apologies for missing that. If it's okay, Councillor Samantha Byrne, I might just ask if Councillor Theocharides might ask her question.
Oh, that's okay. Councillor Burns can go first. That's fine.
Well, we don't have much time left. That's all. There's only 40 seconds that Willem has to answer.
Sure.
So.
No worries. Thanks for the presentation, Willem. As this is probably the first time that officers and my fellow councillors have seen the actual business case that you included in your submission. I wondered if you could speak a little bit more about the concept of it. Essentially, I think what you named it as was a community business hub. If you could speak more of it as a concept, because it's quite different to anything that we've heard about before when speaking about a pavilion.
So, Paula, as far as a community hub goes, it would be a sporting club and essentially used by the community in any aspect that they would or could use it as. Functions, you could have functions there, as I said, you could have, you could use it as offices during the day, you could use it as, on the business plan, there's a 200-person function room, you know, things, the cafe underneath, like I said, you could have scouts there. Basically, we just want to attract the community to that area and utilise it, utilise it as a community centre, not just a sporting club.
Thanks, Willem, and we'll need to end it there because time has expired. But
Sure.
Thank you so much for your time this evening for both of those presentations.
Thank you.
And of course, all presenters are welcome to follow up with councillors at other times to elaborate on particular points. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
And that brings us to our next speaker. And again, just I know that new people have come in, just reminding all speakers there's 3 minutes on ringing a bell with 30 seconds to go, and then there's 1 minute to be able to answer questions from councillors. So our next speaker is Martin Shepherd from the Athletics Essendon and Little Athletics Essendon. Thanks very much, Martin.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Mayor, councillors. We recognise the work the council has done in committing to encourage more people to be active in exercise, play and community sport. For children to be able to play, be more active and really be able to participate in any sport within the council area, they need to be able to run, jump, throw and catch. Athletics Essendon, Essendon Little Athletics Club, who's joined me tonight, Masters and the Special Olympics provide those skills, which is commonly known as physical literacy. On top of that, we have thousands of school kids who come and use the track every single year from the local schools because they haven't got the facilities. We really need the track to be upgraded. Council is keen to be inclusive of your services, so are we. We are targeting young girls, women, people with a disability, Muslim women, non-English speaking background, older people, and the rest of the community come and use us because they feel the park is dark and too dangerous to jog or walk in. When the track was first built 50 years ago, we had a membership of 275 members. We now have a combined membership of about 1,045, a $770 people improvement, yet the track hasn't been kept with time. The track was badly damaged in the floods a couple of years ago, and council invested significantly to bring it back to a state where we can actually use it. We thank you for that. In the last 2 years, though, we've seen the acceleration of the track deterioration because of it, and it's close to its end of life. It certainly won't last another 4 years, and you've only allocated about $50,000 over that 4 years. We believe it'll cost between $75,000 and $100,000 just to maintain it to be used. You've just spent some money on doing some of the maintenance, which has touched about 30% of all the problems we've got around the track, so there's still about 75% to go. The state and federal governments have shown significant support for the project, but we need to have plans which are already shovel ready. We are working with your staff to do a master plan of the area to upgrade it so we can cope with the demand and the number of kids who want to come and use us. The specific asks is we want you to continue. We want you to invest in the track to allow us to grow our 4 clubs, to encourage more people to come be active in line with your strategies. We can't do that on $50,000, which won't even cover the maintenance. We're not looking to upgrade the track to perform at a high level. We just want to be able to cope with the demand, and the demand predominantly of children and young women. So we respectfully ask that you allocate funding probably in years 3 and 4 to upgrade the track, allow us to continue to use it for the clubs and gain financial support from federal government and state governments who have already shown commitment. We are prepared between our 2 clubs to put a low 6-figure sum together. So we're asking you to replace what's there, and we will go out and find the money for the upgrade to expand the area so we can cope with the training.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Martin, and sorry to have to cut everybody off at 3 minutes. It does feel unfair sometimes. But are there any questions from councillors? Councillor John Barnes.
Thanks, Mayor. Thanks, Martin. We come down and had a look at it the other day, and the plan looks great. Obviously, there's safety concerns, and that's not good when you're talking about juniors. What's the lifespan hopefully, if you get the funding, what's the lifespan after it gets fixed?
So if we replace the top surface, we should get between 12 and 14 years out of it.
Is there differences in the material that you use? Is there an A grade, B grade and C grade material?
Yeah, there's different grades depending on whether you want the Olympics all the way down to community. We're not looking at upgrading it to high performance. We just want it to be more stable, more structured, so we can get more kids playing. So we'd go for a more environmentally friendly and more durable surface.
And you're covering long distance running right up to cross country and all that?
Yes, so the combination of clubs has track, field, road, cross country, and we also are the home base for so many of the schools that your office has booked to come down. So we're probably just over 1,000, but you have about 10,000 school kids come a year. And so if it's taken out of action, you're really going to be struggling to allow them to be physically active.
Thanks, mate.
It's only 10 seconds left, but Councillor Phil Byrne had his hand up. If you can answer Councillor Phil Byrne's question very briefly, whatever the question is. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Mayor. Thanks very much, Martin. Thankfully, John asked a few of the questions around surfaces. If you can answer the question, go for it. Otherwise, feel free to email me. But I was just wondering about the surfaces as well, from a view of the damage that the floods did, and whether and going forward with any resurfacing. I mean, obviously there'll be future floods. Is there any surfaces which are more resilient than?
Yeah, I'll try and do this in 10 seconds. So the surface is what's called a sandwich system. So you've got 2 pieces of rubber on top of each other. The water gets underneath and it blisters and then lifts. When you have the spikes on it, it digs the holes, water gets in again, and it continues to lift. So the idea is to get a single system, costs a little bit more but lasts twice as long, and it doesn't allow the water in and therefore it doesn't lift. Hopefully that was 10 seconds.
About 13.
Good on you. Thank you very much.
And I'm sorry, I know that Councillor Sybeck had a question too, but just to keep it fair, we might ask Councillor Sybeck to follow up with Martin at another time. And thank you so much this evening, Martin, for your presentation. It's greatly appreciated. Apologies that we just can't have the hour-long conversations that we'd probably love to have with all of you this evening, but please follow up with us. So our next speakers are Kevin Boots and Jackie Thuman from Keilor East Tennis Club. It looks like it might just be Kevin. Oh, no, please join. Sorry, I just didn't see you there, please. by all means.
Good evening, Mayor
Thanks,
and
Jackie.
councillors. I'm Kevin Boots, the president of the East Killaloe Tennis Club, and I have Jackie here as well as the secretary of the club. I have Nat Gilbert here as well as the BDM for the club. We've been in office for about a decade at this club. Thank you for the opportunity to present tonight in support of our submission regarding additional courts at Queen Grove Reserve. Killaloe Tennis Club is currently operating at full capacity. Our 6 courts support junior competition, senior competition, coaching programs, casual community, book a court, but now demand exceeds the available space that we have for these courts. As a result, we've reached a point where junior teams cannot expand, coaching programs have waiting lists, casual players cannot book courts. The club currently has 315 regular members and program participants. All our courts are fully booked on every weeknight, and operates. Our club operates in the top 10 percentile of Victorian venues for utilisation per court. This makes it one of the most intensely utilised community tennis facilities in the state relative to its size. Competition currently occupies approximately 95% of our peak court availability. Our Saturday junior competition alone fields 12 teams and it's at capacity. And with only 6 courts, it is estimated the club can only accommodate 61% of the potential demand for social use. The reality is that participation growth is now limited by infrastructure rather than demand. Our submission proposes the construction of 3 additional courts, synthetic grass tennis courts at Queen Grove Reserve. We've designed the upgrades so that it can take part in phases as funding allows. And so even funding for 1 court at this time is very welcome within the budget. This would provide an immediate and practical way to increase participation opportunities, improve casual community access and support the continued growth of tennis in our area. Importantly, the proposed layout has been designed with the awareness of the council's previous precinct planning work and preserves the flexibility for future precinct options. As a part of the upgrade, the club is planning to enhance the long-term environmental sustainability of the facility. In particular, we are working towards installation of solar panels and a battery for our lights, because we play most of our tennis at nights, hopefully reduce the operating costs. Killaloe Tennis Club is one of the most heavily utilised tennis facilities in the municipality. Expanding the courts would represent an efficient investment in an already well-performing community asset and would help ensure local families continue to have the access to the tennis as our community grows. Thank you again for consideration of our submission.
Thank you very much, Kevin and Jackie. That was right on the 3 minutes there. Thank you very much. Are there any questions from councillors? Councillor John Sypek.
Hi, Kevin, Jackie. Thanks for the presentation. I know you mentioned 3 would be optimal, 3 new courts, but you would consider 1?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah,
just to alleviate some of the pressure.
That's right. So we've got a plan, and you know, our phased plan. We could definitely start with 1 and then look at future expansion. So we've got the space there. We're very proud of our club, and we've self-funded a lot of the upgrades of the surface. If you see our club, we've got manicured gardens. We've done a lot of self-funded things at the courts. So we're looking at a phased approach, and yes, so 1 court at this stage would be.
So I'm just reading between the lines here that you could even contribute to maybe that 1 court.
Yeah, so we've definitely looked at sponsorship, and we've spoken to Bendigo Bank is one of our big sponsors, and we're looking at other opportunities. But you know, such a big investment in the court, we can definitely work towards that, but yeah, we really want to have a plan to put in place that we can go forward with.
Okay, and just with the solar panels and battery, obviously I'm hearing that your bills are a little bit high, are they?
Yes, that's correct. So as I said, we're at capacity at nights. All our competition runs all through the nights, so that's to alleviate that cost. So it's not just solar panels, it's the battery that we need to be able to provide a savings for the lights going forward.
Thank you so much, Kevin. Really appreciate that's time, I'm afraid, but thank you very much for your responses and for your submission this evening.
Thank you.
Now, If people don't mind, we've been here sitting for quite some time, and I've just noticed a couple of officers have needed to jump up, and I just might take a 3-minute adjournment just to give councillors a moment break, and then we'll come back at 7:42 to hear our remaining 6 or 7 presenters. Thank you. Thank you. Apologies for that brief break. We resume with our 6 presentations still through for our submissions, our hearing of submissions for our draft 4-year capital works program, and we're up to submitter number 18. I have to confess, all of these numbers are in Roman numerals, and it's taking me a moment each time to read my Roman numerals. So we're up to submitter 18, Jackson Taylor from Keilor Basketball Association. Each speaker has 3 minutes. I'm ringing the bell with 30 seconds to go, and then there's a minute for answers to questions. Thank you very much, Jackson.
Good evening. I'm Jackson Taylor, Chief Executive Officer at Keilor Basketball Association. I want to thank the Mayor, Deputy Mayor, Councillors, Moonee Valley City officers for putting tonight together and providing us the opportunity to come and speak. I speak tonight on behalf of our association, our 10 junior clubs, Basketball Victoria, and the many Moonee Valley families who use basketball as an outlet every week. I'm going to speak very quickly on the current circumstances around infrastructure within the Northwest and a potential solution. Moonee Valley remains the last metro LGA in Victoria without a purpose-built highball stadium. So it's no longer a nice to have, but is commonplace in communities except for this one. At Keilor Basketball Association, we utilise 32 courts across 17 different venues to service our approximate 9,000 participants every single week. Of those venues that we utilise across the Northwest, only 3 of those are compliant within Moonee Valley. That means that Moonee Valley basketball participants are either playing on courts they shouldn't be, or they're having to leave the LGA to participate in the game. There's a significant impact from that. Moonee Valley kids aren't receiving the same opportunity that other kids in neighbouring LGAs do. 80% of Moonee Valley basketball participants are forced to travel outside of their LGA to participate every single week. This puts an unnecessary cost of living burden on Moonee Valley families. There's a loss of a positive financial impact that could be happening within the LGA if those people could stay here to participate. Puts an unnecessary strain on the everyday Moonee Valley residents. As the facilities that we do use are in residential areas and aren't fit for purpose. What that means for us at Keilor Basketball, in 9 months, we'll put a complete cap on participation. And that means for the first time in 40 years, we'll be turning kids away. Clubs will not be able to enter more teams than what they do now. Our programs are already at capacity, and kids that want to get the benefits of community sport won't be able to. And that's purely because there's no room left to play across the Northwest. We readily accept that the solution is not the sole responsibility of Moonee Valley City Council. We need all stakeholders aligned and engaged and working towards a solution, and I believe that's the unique opportunity that's in front of the councillors at this point in time. Over the last 18 months, we've been working closely with Moonee Valley officers, state government, relevant third parties, local stakeholders and other highball sports like netball. And through thorough feasibility studies, there seems to be consensus amongst these stakeholders that Essendon Fields represents a preferred site for a 6-court facility. To support the progression of this project, we're asking that Moonee Valley councillors come to a resolution on Essendon Fields as a preferred site with a capital contribution attached, pending that the necessary funding is received from other level of governments and other parties. Keilor Basketball is in a unique position to contribute to the ongoing management and operation model upon completion of the asset, relieving Moonee Valley City Council of ongoing financial burden upon its completion. There is strong support for this project at the state government level and an appetite to contribute a quantum. Without at least a resolution of a preferred site from the councillors, though, there is no project to take to the state government come November. I'd love to spend more time speaking about this, but I've already heard the bell. I'm happy to take any questions, and I really look forward to speaking about the project further.
Thank you very much, Jackson. Nicely summed up there on the 3-minute end of those 3 minutes. Councillors, are there any questions? Councillor John Sybeck?
Thank you, Mayor. So you're saying you want a resolution of council to say that Essendon Fields is the preferred site for Moonee Valley, is that correct?
Correct, yes.
And
Councillor Sybeck, if we could just make sure that it's questions rather than a conversation. So,
it was a question.
Yep. Would you like to ask a follow-up question?
Yeah.
Okay, yes.
But financial contribution still we're talking about, right?
I think, I think a financial contribution.
The other question that I wanted to ask you.
Would you like to ask another follow-up question, Councillor Sybeck? Because other councillors might have questions. So if we just, I'm just conscious that rather than using up the time having a conversation, I just need to make sure that other councillors have an opportunity to also ask a question, that's all. And if no other councillor wants to ask a question, then it's an opportunity to ask a follow-up question.
Okay.
Would any other councillor like to ask a question? Would you like to ask a follow-up question, Councillor Sypek? Thank you.
In regards to the low social economic community,
Yep.
how would this affect them?
It's a great question. At the moment, because our business is spread so thin in the way that we offer the sport, the overheads of the sport increase, right? Every time that we grow, we're moving to single court venues that aren't of appropriate standard. So the price inevitably goes up, and we're becoming one of the most expensive offerers of basketball in the state, and we're effectively beginning to price out multicultural and low socioeconomic communities. We run programs for multicultural communities, for the elderly, in different municipalities like Brimbank and Melton and Maribyrnong, but we're unable to run those programs in Moonee Valley because there is no appropriate space. We run walking basketball that's targeted at the elderly community. We run a great program in St Albans that's aimed at disengaged youth, but we can't run those programs in Moonee Valley because there's no appropriate spaces.
Thank you. Councillor Samantha Byrne. 11 seconds left, that's right.
We go quick.
Thank you for your presentation. I know that you play games on single courts
Yes.
for your competition, but then obviously Keilor is much bigger and you've got some bigger stadiums. What is the smallest preferred amount of courts that you are looking for?
We believe 6 is optimal, but we don't believe we'd be in a position to support anything smaller than 4, as it's just not going to impact even current need, let alone future need. So
definitely no smaller than 4.
Absolutely.
Preferred 6.
Preferred 6.
Preferred
25.
We need to leave it there. If I could, thank you so much, Jackson, for your presentation.
No worries, Russ.
Really appreciate it. And councillors, if I could just ask, in fairness to colleagues, if we ask a question, rather than continuing to ask questions and create a conversation, if we could make sure that we give colleagues an opportunity to ask a question as well. I've had to ask that a couple of times this evening, and I'd really appreciate if people could cooperate with that. Thank you very much. Okay, our next speakers are Anthony Monteleone and Merrin Hammond. I think it looks as though it's just Merrin though, is that right?
Anthony had a death in the family, so it's just...
I'm sorry to hear that. Merrin, welcome, and you have 3 minutes for your presentation to us this evening. Thank you.
Thank you so much, councillors, and I'm here on behalf of the Union Road Traders Association in support of our written submission. So our submission makes one single specific request, and that is to allocate some funding in the 26-27 budget for a feasibility study to assess the upgrades required for the Ascot Vale Neighbourhood Centre in Union Road to become an event-ready centre for council-run, community and trader activity. Yeah. Union Road is a valued neighbourhood centre with a strong village character, loyal customers and diverse mix of local businesses. Traders are committed to working collaboratively with all of you, councillors, to support the precinct's long-term success. As outlined in our submission, the planning evidence for Union Road is significantly outdated. The most recent community infrastructure assessment dates way back to 2009, meaning there's been no updated assessment in nearly 20 years. This limits council's ability to plan strategically or assess whatever the precinct is equipped to meet current community needs. Union Road has also not received capital works or public realm upgrades, particularly when compared to other activity centres across the municipality. While traders continue to contribute through the special rate, those funds are limited to marketing and small-scale activations and cannot address infrastructure concerns. As a result, the precinct is not currently equipped to host any council-run events. As detailed in our submission, Union Road lacks dedicated event-ready spaces, compliant lighting and safety infrastructure, suitable power and utilities, and contemporary public realm design. These constraints have a very practical impact. The Union Road traders have traditionally run very successful campaigns and events, such as these that you see on the screen, and a lot that you have attended as well. However, it's becoming increasingly difficult for traders alone to deliver community events that engage residents and promote the precinct, particularly as events rely heavily on volunteers and are subject to growing governance and compliance requirements. Without dedicated spaces, events often require road closures, traffic management plans and short bump-in windows, all of which increase cost, complexity and reliance on volunteers. By contrast, if we had event-ready spaces, they provide weather security. Longer-term bump-ins, permanent infrastructure would significantly reduce these pressures and make events safer, more sustainable and more accessible for all of the community. We believe it is worth investigating if the neighbourhood centre could be upgraded to meet these criteria. Importantly, we're not asking you for immediate capital works. We're asking for a feasibility study engaging traders, the community and council that would ultimately provide you with updated community assessment, clear scope, indicative costings and an identification of suitable event-capable locations if it's not the centre. This approach aligns with your activity framework, which emphasises evidence-based planning and coordinated investment. So in closing, that's what we asked, to include funding in the 26-27 budget for this study and to recognise that updated planning is essential to ensure Union Road remains vibrant, welcoming and well supported.
Thank you very much, Mayor and councillors. Are there any questions? Councillor Phil Byrne.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. Thanks for the submission, Marion. I understand the approach to the feasibility study, but I had a question around whether there was any views as to the neighbourhood centre, as we're looking at that as when you talk about an event-ready space. Are we looking at the entire building, or are we looking at more the frontage to Union Road?
When you look at that top left picture up there, you can see the amount of beautiful real estate that entails right where the tram stops. A lot of the times we look at it and we're like, it's very much a car park. There is, 10 cars in there, a lot of times, council car park. So we're definitely looking at the entire building and how that can be reused, reshuffled, be really flexible, but also how do we make it more inviting? If you look from the front, there is a lot of that fencing that's sort of like go away. There's also not a way to digitally book it online. There's nothing online about it really. And it's also got very limited hours about how we can do it. So I think there's a way there where we could look at, security and lots of options, not just, a very large capital build.
Yeah. Thanks, might pass to Councillor Jones if that's okay. There's only 16 seconds left, so Councillor Jones, thank you.
Thank you for the presentation. You touched on at the end there of your original 3 minutes, and I just wanted to sort of clarify something. You mentioned looking at things if after this research it's found that it's not possible to be turned into an event-ready space. As a group, as a traders association, have you thought more about what that might look like and what some of those goals might be?
Yes, we have, but that's a much longer than 16-second conversation. This is the prize one. It seems very ready to be more open, more available. It's already got accessibility. It's a good space. It's just that at the moment it's very closed. So how can we open that up, and how can we make sure it's as flexible as possible to allow us to hold weekend markets in there, for example? Things that would bring people to the street on times when we're not overly busy.
Thank you. But it does sound like there's a longer conversation that Councillor Jones might like to have with you around that. And to all presenters, please feel free to follow up with councillors about any ideas that we haven't had time to discuss this evening. Thank you very much, Marin. Our next speaker is Rudolph Arenz from the 15th Essendon Sea Scouts. Thanks, Rudolph. Thank you. Very kind.
So my name's Rudolph Ahrens. I actually don't represent 15th Essendon. I'm here as a concerned citizen. I do represent 15th in a way, and I also represent Councillor Cusack, deceased, because I was on the committee with him 13 years ago that did the master plan for Fairburn Park. So the reason I'm basically here is because I've written a number of times to council and never got anything back, so I thought I'd come and talk to you. It would be nice to finish the master plan for Fairburn Park with the northern part, which on the map there I've put in red car park. So that section, and I've had a meeting with Councillor Issa a couple of years ago about all the mud and the problems you have there with car parking, and our council officers decided to move the car parking onto the road, which has reduced the road from 2 lanes to 1 lane. So now the traffic moves to the other side, and we've got mud on the other side. So it's not going to take much. One of the discussions we had on the committee, if you go over the page, shows you the very basic car parking section. We've already got drains there, so it really doesn't take much to complete and finish that off, because at the moment, every time it rains, Councillor Esser has seen the problem and Councillor Phil Byrne has seen the problem, and that's basically my submission. Thank you very much. Any questions?
Thank you, Rudolph. Are there any questions? Councillor Phil Byrne.
Thanks, Rudolph. And thanks for the drawing on the back of the map. Just in terms of the length that this section would propose to run, would that go through all the way to essentially where that first exit is?
The first entry, which is opposite the new pavilion.
Yeah.
From there, going further north, up to where the scout halls are.
All the way to the okay, thank you. Thanks, Mayor.
Thanks, Rudolph. Are there any other questions of Rudolph this evening? In which case, thank you very much for joining us this evening and for the document that you've provided. Thank you, Rudolph. Our next speaker is Russell McIntosh. Thank you, Russell.
Thank you, Mayor and councillors, for allowing me this opportunity tonight, and also around the basketball and highball that, as some of you know, I've been chasing for quite a while. I will show you that I need to go out of here very shortly because I've got a game at Keilor tonight at 8:45. But part of that is the fact that that's in the municipality of Brimbank. I can't play that in Moonee Valley because there's nothing available here. And just on that note, my son, who I would usually take on a Thursday night to training, is at Gilson College in Taylors Hill, which is part of the municipality of Melton tonight. So it's a bit of with 3 kids playing, it shows a little bit about what Moonee Valley residents have to do to get their kids involved in basketball and playing. So, and with petrol prices going up, you can understand it's big costs. One other thing just with that, is that while I'm out there, usually on a Thursday night, I'll tend to do my family shopping while I wait for him. $300 for a family of 5 there, which is money that's going directly out of Moonee Valley every time. And I'm one of very many families who are doing that type of thing either on a Friday night or Saturday or during the week for training. So it is costing Moonee Valley businesses by having basketball and netball, for that example, not in this community. There's plenty of disadvantage about not having, and as previous Jackson had mentioned about the different things that can be run in a basketball stadium for the different disability groups and for ageing. All of those competitions can't be run within this community, and therefore the need for a basketball stadium and a highball stadium for those 2 sports is long overdue. One thing that I wanted to bring to a head is probably the fact that we do go back to square one on this, and I'd like to propose that we put together a bit of a working party, council and perhaps representatives of the local clubs and associations to be able to march this thing forward. Rather than us going back to square one every time, because this project has been on the cards 5 or 6 times probably over the last 15 years, and it seems to go from priority to nothing at all overnight, depending on who's in power and all those types of things. So I think it's important that we actually as a community put a working party together to move this thing forward once and for all, or I worry we're going to be here again in the next 10 years. I suggest this because, of course, we are having a project that keeps disappearing, and clearly from some of the previous examples, and Moonee Valley did its own study of a needs assessment for basketball courts and a highball stadium in this community back in 2016, showing that we needed 12 indoor courts immediately to meet demand, and another 3 by 2030. As you probably all know, nothing's been built in that time, and that's 10 years since then. So I think it's time that we do actually put a party together to move this forward once and for all.
Thank you, Russell. That's the end of the 3 minutes, but I'll ask councillors if they have any questions. Councillor John Barnes.
Thanks, Mayor. I think you touched on it, Russell, a bit. what does a lack of a local facility mean to your family, to your family personally? Because you're in the game, you're in the sport, you've got kids, what does it, where does it hit you?
It's a choice for a family like ours. Look, not crying poor here, we're a two-car family, so we can actually get to most places, but it certainly does stop me from seeing multiple kids because we are going so far for some games that you need to make a choice between kids. Whereas if things were more local, you'd be able to watch all three kids, but most of the time you are, neglecting one to go to another, and I don't think that's appropriate for a local comp. I understand some of the more regional stuff that you have to do. That's natural. I do worry for families who don't have two cars.
Russell, I might stop you there just because you've only got 22 seconds left, and Councillor Samantha Byrne wanted to ask a question.
No problem.
The answer
Thank you.
was
Thanks, Russell.
was solid.
Thank you. Thanks for your presentation. You touched on that you play and also your son plays. I was just wondering if you could talk about the current or perhaps potential social opportunities of how that works with basketball, because we obviously have had a lot of discussions tonight about pavilions and that social side. I think we can see what it would be like playing, but if you could maybe comment on what that would mean.
Yeah, certainly. Look, Toby, my oldest, is about to take up refereeing, so that's one area of earning money where he has to go into another municipality to do that type of thing. And then there's certainly things, like the club rooms, and I know growing up that you're able to look at the trophies and the flags and banners on the walls. We generally don't do presentation days and those sorts of things because we don't have a facility locally to be able to do that for a club like the Aberfeldy Jets. So it would be good to be able to have that and have somewhere to call home.
Thank you, Russell. Apologies that time is up, but thank you very much for
All good.
presenting to us
Thanks a
this
lot.
evening. Thank you.
Good luck tonight.
Thank you.
Indeed. Now we have our last speaker in person because our final speaker is online, unless there were any speakers who came late that need to be accommodated. No, only one more speaker in the room. Paul Miziewicz. Apologies.
Close. No, it's Paul Mishevich, but thanks for that, Mayor Isa. Good evening, Mayor, Deputy Mayor, councillors and council officers. Thank you for allowing me to make a submission on this draft 4-year Council Capital Works program. I'll be representing in capacity as a local resident and ratepayer with a focus on an upgrade of Cliff Allison Park. I acknowledge and appreciate the significant investment this council is proposing, especially in community facilities, and listening to the submissions provided today. There's all good causes. And essentially why I'm talking about Cliff Allison Park, it is a small neighbourhood park and an important one that serves local families, children, diverse communities. There's tennis, there's a half court basketball court, there's a half tennis court, and some pretty average looking goalposts there in the park. It also serves a dense residential catchment area of mid and high density dwellings along the Mount Alexander Road tram corridor. Upgrading Cliff Allison Park would improve the sports equipment, provide for a more safer and inclusive area, and cater for a diverse community. This request doesn't change Council's direction. An upgrade to the park aligns with it. Council open space and climate resilient objectives. There is the State Government North Essendon Activity Centre plan, which will place additional pressures on existing open spaces and parks. There is a clear funding opportunity right now through the State Government's Pick My Park program, with round 2 closing in late April. Cliff Allison Park is exactly the type of neighbourhood scale project that performs well in this program. And preparing a basic concept plan would make it shovel ready and provide for co-funding with state government input. My request is straightforward. Include Cliff Allison Park in the Capital Works program with a concept plan and submit to the state government grant program. It's a modest, cost-effective investment with tangible benefits. So thanks for that. And any questions?
Thanks very much, Paul, for your presentation. Councillors, any questions? Councillor Cosgrove.
Thank you, Paul. There's a lot to be desired at Cliff Ellison Park. Of the things you mentioned, is there something that stands out as the most urgent, or between, you know?
Look, I mean, it's pretty basic. I think even just the turf there is something that could just be resod. It's not. It's probably not usable for about 8 months of the year. The half basketball court and tennis court is sort of conflicts. You've either got kids trying to shoot some hoops or others play tennis. So I mean, you can just extend the other half, and then you've sort of doubled the capacity there.
Sure. Thank you.
Yes, and governance. I noticed that the clock didn't start then, but it's okay. I think it was
It's fine.
It's fine. Councillor Hamish Jones. I kept a mental note.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you for the presentation. I just wanted to clarify from your speaking time there. Are you looking for council to fund a sort of a master plan style thing and then seek further funding, or are you looking for council to fund the actual upgrades, or maybe one or the other, or both?
Look, it's just there's a grant program provided by state government. There's policy there to support it. I just need council to lodge it, we've got residents who are interested. So it's just the ability to have that working collaboration with council officer staff to submit a proposal for a grant.
Okay.
Thanks very much, Paul. And I think Councillor Philburn has a question. Is that right? Yep.
Super quick one. I'll try and frame it so it's a yes or no, so I can maximise the 9 seconds. But when you mentioned the turf that's there and when it's unusable, is that unusable because it's wet and boggy, or dry and dusty and blows around?
Both.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
One word answer indeed. Thank you very much, Paul, for your presentation this evening. And we have one final presentation from Naomi Barter from Netball Victoria, which is an online presentation, I understand. So we're going to switch to Naomi online. Thanks for joining us, Naomi. We have 3 minutes.
Hello, can you hear me?
We can indeed. I'm not sure if you can see a clock, but you have 3 minutes for your presentation. I'll ring a bell at 2 minutes 30. If you're not sure, I'll just interject at 3 minutes to help you out. Thanks, Naomi.
Great, thank you. Dear Mayor and Councillors, thank you for the opportunity to speak this evening. I'm here on behalf of Netball Victoria to express our strong support for the development of multi-use indoor sports centre within the Moonee Valley City Council. At present, netball players living in Moonee Valley area have no access to indoor courts. This lack of facilities significantly limits the growth of our sport, and importantly, the opportunities for women and girls to be active and thriving within the local area. Netball Victoria recently launched its statewide facility strategy, which highlights strong participation rates in this local LGA. However, our data indicates many local players are forced to travel outside the area to access suitable places to play netball. Building indoor court capacity is essential to strengthening community health and wellbeing. The evidence is clear. High-quality indoor sport facilities contribute not only to increased physical activity, but more local jobs, more volunteer opportunities, improved mental health, and stronger community cohesion. These outcomes align directly with Council's priorities around health, equity, and connection. Netball Victoria, in strong alignment with Basketball Victoria, is advocating for the delivery of new indoor sports facilities in your region. Specifically, a high ball stadium with a minimum of 6 courts, in which we would like to be a committed tenant. Such a venue will help meet the current and future demands of our sport and provide equitable access for women and girls, who are often the most impacted by limited facilities available. Critically, indoor courts ensure sport can continue regardless of weather conditions, a need that is growing as severe weather events and extreme hot days become more frequent. Netball continues to see remarkable growth. In 2025, netball will be recorded over 121,000 members, the highest in our history. And we have more than 300,000 Victorians participating in netball across the state. Participation has risen year on year since the pandemic, and it will continue to increase with high quality facilities, such as the one proposed here, becoming available in local communities. Netball remains the sport of choice for women and girls. And yet there is still significant lack of equitable access to indoor courts. This project represents a substantial step towards addressing that inequality and inequity. We would work closely with Council to ensure the design meets all standards in the Netball Victoria Facilities Manual and Netball Australia's National Facilities Policy. Finally, we emphasise the importance of a timely resolution. A clear commitment to a capital investment from Council will enable us to work alongside you to build momentum and advocacy in the lead up to the state election. Thank you for your time and for your consideration of this important opportunity within your community.
Thank you, Naomi. Thanks for keeping to the 3 minutes there. Now, there is a minute of answers to questions from councillors, if councillors have any questions for you. So I'll just ask if councillors have any questions of Naomi. I think Councillor Philburn and Councillor Samantha and Councillor Sypek also have a question. Is that right? Did you have a question? Yeah. So we might, and Councillor Adams, there's not much time, so if we just keep your answers really short so we can get through the questions. And councillors, if you can just keep to a single question to assist. Thank you.
Thanks, Mayor. Thanks very much for the submission and the presentation, Naomi. I just had a quick question. You mentioned that there's strong alignment with Basketball Victoria and Netball Victoria as well. With regard to a future stadium, and I'm just wondering the extent to which there's been discussion, and I know we can't sort of jump and do a whole lot of work far too advanced in the future, but has there sort of been any sort of discussions around how demand and schedules and all of those sorts of things would play out in the future? I know that's several years sort of down the track type of thinking, but just in terms of two sports where there's just really strong demand.
In 15 seconds, Naomi. Whoops.
Yeah, certainly, it's a good question. Apologies, you did break up. You did break up a bit, but just in terms of that, we would work very closely with basketball to work around the scheduling, and it's not unusual for us to work with basketball and have basketball and netball in a number of different venues. So that would be something that we would absolutely be focused on to ensure that both sports had the required access to the venue.
Thanks, Naomi. Just because there were other questions that people wanted to put. Councillor Samantha Byrne.
Thank you. Thank you for your presentation. And I am happy for you to take this one on notice because it's a stats one. But I do remember reading somewhere stats about participation of netballers over the age of 21 when playing on indoor courts compared to outdoor courts. Basically, as we get older, we don't want to play outside anymore and we will only go indoors. I was wondering if you knew off the top of your head if that is still the case, or if you had any stats, or if not, now if you could send them through.
Yeah, absolutely. I will go back internally and get them and send them through.
Thanks, Naomi. Councillor John Sypek.
Thank you. Would you support the KBA's proposal at Essendon Fields?
Yes, we do.
Great, thank you.
Okay, and Councillor Ava Adams.
I guess this question, you don't need to answer this now, but it's because it's also probably to KBA as well. Following from Councillor Philburn's question about coexisting in one facility and what that would look like, I guess that's probably just a answer you could come back to us on, but that would be really useful to know that you'd be working together and it'd be a shared facility. Thanks.
Do you want to talk further on that, Naomi?
Yes, certainly. We can come back on that.
Earlier. Yep, you've got 30 seconds.
And sorry, you are breaking up, but absolutely I can come back on that. Working very closely with Basketball Victoria, but what we can come back and show is a number of examples of other facilities where we do coexist and how we make that work.
Great. Okay, it has been a little bit tricky, I think, but were there any final questions of Naomi from any councillors? No, it's fine. I'm grateful that you've joined us online, Naomi. Councillor Sypek has one final question. So, go ahead. We've got 21 seconds, Councillor Sypek.
Would there be any financial contributions on your behalf?
We could certainly look at, we do contribute to things like design, so we could look at what that exactly looks like. But look, we're certainly open to anything, and in terms of broader discussions, we probably don't have an actual facilities fund, say like an AFL, or I don't know if basketball do at this stage, but I know we can look at facility development stage and how we can support that.
Thank you, Councillor Sypek. Thank you, Naomi, very much for joining us online this evening. It's greatly appreciated. And so we'll let you go now, and thank you very much for your submission to our process.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
And that, in fact, concludes our hearing of submissions for the draft 4-year Capital Works program. So we do thank all submitters who spoke to us this evening, those of you who are still in the gallery with us, those who have joined us online to hear the submissions. We've certainly heard from a range of submitters across the municipality, and we look forward to talking further as a councillor group with our officers about progressing our 4-year Capital Works plan, so our program. So I would like to again thank everyone for your work this evening, to the officers for joining us this evening, and call this meeting to a close at 8:21. Thank you.